This is me giving up on podcasting.
She's exhausted and doesn't have the spoons today, and that's okay. Answering the question how to deal or how do I deal with things when you're not feeling well. Well, it's much like any other day. There's things that need to be done around the house, and I do them because they need to be done. And there's also the aspect of there's this amazing person that I care about and love who's not feeling well. So I try to do things that make it easier for you to do things that you want done or need done. I try to go the extra step and pick up the slack when you need me to. And I try to pick up on the cues and the signs before you have to tell me, so that it's cohesive and you don't feel like you're not being heard or not being paid attention to in the way that you need. And sometimes we have life things that happen at the same time, such as, we have a puppy who's a very sweet dog, but at the same time, she's very hyper and stubborn and obnoxious, which makes both of us sometimes a little crazy.
She tried to take your eyeball out yesterday.
I know, she did. She really did. And then we have two cats. One of them is a needy baby, greedy baby who needs your attention and your son's attention constantly. And the other one only wants us when he wants us, and that's because he's a very stuck in his way older cat. He's very sweet and loving when he needs to be, but we have things at this house that need to be taken care of and done. So I don't think about you being sick more so. I don't view it as, oh, here's this situation with this sick person that I have to take care of. I view it as, this is my partner who's not feeling well and she needs a little more support right now. And if I can give a little more of 100% when you can't, I'm going to.
Do you think I mask it just because I have to go to work and have to get things done? And do you think that makes it better or worse?
I think sometimes you mask it because you do know the necessity of having to go to work. I think you try to stomach it and push through. And I do think it makes it worse.
Do you think that when, I don't really know how to word this, so I'm trying. So there are things that you just do because, they need to get done, or, you're just trying to make life easier or whatnot.
Yeah.
And, we've tried to record this 3 times, and the last time we were getting somewhere, and then you just ended it because you picked up on me being like, I'm exhausted. I'm really tired.
Yeah.
I don't have any spoons right now. Mm-hmm. And you took that as, I don't want to do this. But that's not what I was saying. What I was saying is that I'm really exhausted and tired because work was a lot today. Yeah. And not a lot bad, just a lot of moving, walking, doing.
Yeah, lots of extra.
Being present. Mm-hmm. So I think sometimes you misread it and it gets almost more frustrating because I didn't even get to finish my sentence.
Yeah.
But I think that comes out in other ways, and I don't know how much of that is you predictively thinking, how much of it is trauma, and how much is ADHD. Because people will be mid-sentence and you come in, babe, I just separated the meat, I did this thing, and I'm like I'm in the middle of a conversation, I can't have both at the same time, and that's irrelevant to me. Yeah. I appreciate you doing things, but I'm gonna notice it when I go to cook.
No. I think it's probably a 3-way split between those things. Preemptively, I'm like, okay, she's not feeling well. We're in the middle of this podcast thing. She pulled me aside literally in the middle of it to say, hey, I'm not feeling well. To me, my preemptive mind goes, okay, we need to end this so she can rest. Right?
But that's not what happened. You tried to calm me down from being frustrated, but I wasn't frustrated. I'm exhausted. No. And I was just explaining, calming me down from exhaustion will slow my heart rate more than it already is. Yeah. It's actually going to make these symptoms of exhaustion worse. Yeah. So it wasn't I don't want to do this. It's how you handle. So how you handle being frustrated is going to be opposite to how you handle being exhausted or depressed, right? Like frustration, anxiety, you handle one way. Exhaustion, depression, you handle another way.
Right.
So it wasn't to shut you down. It was to be like, hey, like, that's actually the opposite of what I need right now. Because actually doing this and talking and speeding my heart rate up is going to help me feel better versus just sitting there and being like, no, I'm going to calm down. I'm not going to do anything. I need to be left alone. I want to be in my own thoughts. Because as much as I do want that, I also know if I do that, I'm getting stuck in a cycle.
Yeah.
That cycle is going to turn into a depressive cycle. And like the question I asked you last night wasn't fair. Like that's not fair. But it comes from a place of pain, like genuine pain, not emotional pain. I can handle that. It's exhaustion after exhaustion after exhaustion. Plus, I'm in physical pain and I can't escape. I can't get out. There is no medication that's going to just take it all away. Like, there is, but
There's the dog again. Hey, get down.
I would be like my brother.
Yeah.
And I would be like my mom. And I don't want to be like that. I'm talking biologically.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to break those cycles within our generations and trying to set the example for our kids to really break those cycles so that they don't have to carry on those traumas and those behaviors and things. And it's not an easy road. It's a tough road, you know. It's a continuous day-to-day battle working with that and recognizing it within ourselves and doing what we can to correct it and make better choices in communication. And like you telling me what you're telling me right now, like point blank, I appreciate the honesty and I appreciate the calmness of the honesty. Because
I don't have the energy to be angry.
It's not accusatory. It's not angry. It's just, this is how I feel right now. And
it's not your fault. I choose to get up early and go to work. Like, to be fair, I could call my boss and be like, I'm not doing this. It's ending me.
Yeah.
But who is going to do it? Right? I also feel like in some circumstances with my work and with what I do and how much I do for my work, I'm getting up early and I'm not getting paid for that hour drive.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid for the 30-minute drive once I pick them up.
Yeah.
I'm going through a tank of gas in 2 days. I'm not having time to cook at night because I'm too exhausted. Now I'm wasting money on food.
I know.
That I wasn't doing before. So all of these added expenses, plus having COVID, plus the autoimmune reaction to that, because that was bad, plus continued flare-up, plus working.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the hours I pulled yesterday came out to over 9 hours.
I know.
And that's not even including the hour-long drive each way. That's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm not getting paid for the hour-long drive each way, which I chose to move out here. I chose to move further away. I made that choice. Yes, absolutely. But at the same time, is it worth it? And that's where I'm starting to think, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is this worth it? And that's like a lot of hard conversations because financially we need it.
Yeah.
But mentally and physically, it's taking a lot out of me.
Yeah. Well, that's
and I'm doing extra. Like, me and one of my managers, we're working that volunteer aspect, and I'm on the physical fitness team for them. And like, there's a lot, like, I can't really like openly say what we do, but like, I do so much, and I know that, like, when I get home, I can do X, Y, and Z and be okay because I'm sitting down, I'm doing it, whatever. But it's what I'm doing while I'm there. The other option, I think I could make a request for certain things, and I think I could propose it properly. You need to take that from her. Those are dirty.
I know. Just setting them there. I'll get them out.
So over.
Yeah.
Like, I know there are things I could do, but whether they're going to be approved or not is just kind of like
up in the air. Yeah.
the likelihood of them being approved actually is really low with everything going on right now.
Yeah.
Which I haven't even talked about everything going on right now. But yeah, like it's just a lot. And I definitely feel like I love my job. Emotionally, it brings me joy. And I want to hold on to the things that bring me joy.
Mm-hmm.
But the physical cost.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I hear that you're feeling overwhelmed physically.
Yeah.
With it.
The cat just smacked the dog, sorry.
Well, that's what the dog gets for messing with the cat. It's okay.
Yeah.
She's
Anyway.
got to learn. I hear that you're physically overwhelmed, a little bit mentally overwhelmed, but more so on the physical side. And it's very understandable with your illness and being sick and the amount of stress that you've been under for the last like 2.5 months. Honestly, you went through hell just to get your stuff back. You went through hell.
And that was mild.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Like, that was mild.
I know. And I'm here to support you in whatever way you need me to support you. And sometimes I have to remember to ask you what you mean by something rather than assuming, because it's a communication thing, learning curve on certain things, especially with, it's a new relationship and, we're,
You're usually spot on. There's very few times you're not.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I get a little in my head about it, and then when I get in my head about it and I'm stressed out and I know you're stressed out, I overthink it. And then I start to assume things rather than waiting for you to let me know what you would like to do or ask you what you'd like to do. And that's just one of my own nervous
I
tics.
do the same thing. I do it in different ways, but I do the same thing where like I'll overthink and be like, oh, I would want this in this situation. You're just kind of like, okay. Because like our brains are like, we have certain things that are the same and certain things are very different.
Yeah.
And like, okay, in a lot of relationships that we've seen, the man is more standoffish and the woman is more touchy.
Mm-hmm.
We're reversed.
A little bit, yeah.
But I'm still more emotional than you are, which is typical.
Mm-hmm.
And you're more like linear thinking than I am.
Yep.
But I feel like we match each other pretty evenly logically, right?
I think so.
But you're definitely more space invasive. I'm definitely more like, I know you want affection and I can't give you that, so I'm going to cause you pain.
Mm-hmm.
Which you think is funny.
I think it's hilarious.
I know. But like, also, I get to the point where I'm so overstimulated that I go into fight. And we saw that a little bit last night where you kept touching me and I was like, this physically hurts, and you weren't getting it. You're like, I'm being gentle. And I'm like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
You are hurting me and you're not understanding it because you don't. It's not like you don't understand. I think it's more that like you can't comprehend how such a gentle touch hurts. And I think that comes down to, I'm in a flare up.
Yeah.
Everything already hurts. The cat laying on me hurts.
Yeah.
Your head is heavier than the cat's head.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and if you can understand that, then you can understand the other. But I don't have the words because now I'm overstimulated. I've been like, hey, stop. Mm-hmm. Hey, stop. And I'm not explaining it because I'm in self-preservation, keep to self mode. And you're in my emotional needs aren't being met mode. And both of our needs are opposing.
Yeah.
I think that's the right way to say that.
It happens sometimes. And, I'm learning these things about you. The relationship's only been, 2.5 months, officially about a month and a half.
It's been a month and a half-ish, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, getting to know each other on Facebook a little bit, and then having met you in person, then having you come stay the night.
It wasn't Facebook, it was TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok, sorry, not Facebook.
Weirdo.
Social media. Having met you that way, and then, you come in.
And that was more just like I got drunk and slept over.
Yeah.
I don't want to drive. Yeah. Like responsible adult stuff.
Yeah. So. Which is fine. And then it turned into, a relationship and you moving in, which is awesome. I actually appreciate it because I have help with kids and things like that, which I don't expect you to, but you do, and it definitely
I just see you get frustrated, and it's not like you need help. You don't need help. You have a way of doing things that works, right? Yeah. It's more just like our ways balance each other out. Like, I'm definitely harsher with Gabe than you are.
Yeah.
But that's also, I've raised him from infancy. You're harsher with your kids than I am.
Yeah.
Because, of course, you are.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's they're your responsibility and always have been.
Yeah.
From the minute they were conceived. Like, Gabe's always been my responsibility from the minute he was conceived. Mm-hmm. But it also balances out, because there's times he'll be like, you are being really harsh. And I'll be like, I know. And I have very high expectations of him. And a lot of people don't understand why I have such high expectations of him. The reason I have such high expectations of him is because he's proven he can live far beyond what I've ever expected of him.
Yeah.
Like, I've been screamed at for telling my son he needs to ask me before he hugs me.
Wow.
I have been chastised online and called a bad mom and not nurturing.
No, that's a boundary, and that's okay. Teaching your kid boundaries is a very healthy thing and a responsible thing.
Well, what a lot of people didn't know was that he had hugged a little girl he met on the playground and kissed her cheek, and it made her uncomfy. Mm-hmm. He was 4.
Yeah, he didn't.
So now we ask before we touch anybody until we can learn to ask to touch.
Yeah.
It's not a punishment. It's just ask to touch and get consent. Understand it. So when I say my son understands really big concepts, it's because when he messes up, it's not a punishment. It's a learning time.
Right.
I don't punish my son by taking away affection. I don't punish my son by taking away food, clothing, necessities, even like luxuries. I don't take away his toys.
Yeah.
What I do is I teach him. I teach him why things are important, why they matter, why does consent matter. I teach him why hitting isn't okay, right. But instead of teaching him that hitting is never okay, I teach him there's a time and a place to defend yourself.
Right.
But when it's people you love and care about and those people aren't hurting you, then you use your gentle hands. And what that looked like was a 2-year-old boy getting walloped by a 6-month-old.
Yeah.
And taking her little teeny tiny 6-month-old hands, saying, ow, that hurts, and putting them on his face and going, this is gentle hands. With a 6-month-old. Mm-hmm. And that grew into his cousin and his relationship.
Yeah.
So my son he won't wallop a baby back. I know that for a fact because I've seen him get his hair yanked, his face pinched, his face scratched, bites all over his body. And I'm like, dude, what happened? Yeah. And he looks at me and is like, well, she didn't know how to use her gentle hands or her gentle mouth either.
Right.
And I was like, okay. And he goes, all of today I was teaching her gentle hands. And then she scratched me.
Yeah.
So I said, I don't want to play with you no more. And I walk away.
Good. And so
at 2 years old, my child had enough emotional regulation to do that.
That's a good boundary to have taught him. It's something I've been working with Matthew and Isla on, trying to
I taught him from
respect each other, not to fight the way that they do and not use their hands and their bodies the way that they do as far as physical aggression, and use their words. And it's good that your son has that ability.
Reminder, so you can't absolutely do it. You can't be on the spot.
Okay.
I seen you start and I was like, nope. Okay, anyway.
It's, like I said, it's just a learning curve. We get, as far as like communication styles and being able to communicate, I think like 90% of the time we're pretty copacetic and easy to get along.
I mean, I can be pretty harsh with you sometimes.
I wouldn't say it's harsh. I'd say some of the things you say are just part of your quirky personality. And I think sometimes
I told you to move because you were standing on the stool and I had already gotten dressed and forgot something in the bed. I did not explain anything else. I said, move. Mm-hmm. And you just stared at me and were like,
I'm like, okay. Get down. Talking to the dog again. Ladybird, get down.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not the nicest when I just woke up. I'm not the nicest when I'm exhausted.
No, but I know that about you. And
I'm surely not the nicest before noon.
I know that about you. And I don't mind it at all. It doesn't bother me at all. That's why I call you a honey badger. Get down. That's why I call you honey badger. Because in the morning, you are prickly as a pear that is full of spikes. And I think it's absolutely adorable. Get down.
Ladybird, down. Stop.
Get down, Ladybird.
Oh my goodness. She's insane.
She's just a puppy who's being ridiculous.
She's insane. Anyways.
And so when you're like that in the morning, I have two options. I can either take personal offense to it, which would be pointless because I know this about you. I know that in the morning you're not fully awake enough to deal with the conversation or awake enough to deal with
I wake up with no spoons. By noon, I maybe have 3 spoons, and one of them was already used to make it to work, and possibly all 3 were used just in the first 10 minutes at work.
Yeah.
I come home in the negatives daily.
And I wake up with more spoons than the sun could possibly manifest.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
I have a lot of energy when I first wake up.
I have no energy ever. Chronic fatigue.
Even when I'm exhausted, like I was this morning, I was exhausted. I stayed in bed an extra 45 minutes. But even getting up with you after you got up, I had a lot more energy. So I know that about you. That
this is me applauding your extra 45 minutes of sleep. First of all, I'm still mad about that. You got an extra 45 minutes of sleep when I'm the one who needed it. I'm not actually mad. I'm glad you got rest.
Yeah, me too. I needed it. It's just, I know that's part of, what you're dealing with the constant fatigue and the exhaustion, and it causes a mental strain and a mental fatigue as well. Yeah. And I don't get offended by it. Like, even when you're mad, like really angry in the morning, like, God damn it, leave me the fucking touch me. Even when you're like
You're always trying to touch me.
Touch? That's me being a smartass, by the way.
You're always trying to touch me when I'm already not feeling well.
Yeah.
And it's like the same thing with food. Like, I appreciate that you're always presenting me with food, but I also appreciate the fact that when I don't eat, you're not mad about it.
No.
Because, like, the thing is, it's not that I'm not eating because I don't want to eat. I'm not eating because everything's upsetting my stomach. No. I'm already chronically fatigued, and the thought of vomiting, like, the thought of physically vomiting, that's 5 spoons I ain't got.
Yeah.
That I don't have the energy to vomit, so I'm just not gonna put anything in my stomach to cause me to upchuck.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not.
Well, this is the stuff I'm meaning. When you don't have it in you for things like that. What would be the point of me as, your fiance, as me, as somebody who loves you and cares about you, as a man of this household? What would be the point of me getting mad at you because you're not feeling well?
I don't know. Ask my ex.
That's a narcissistic, toxic mentality and way of thinking, and it's not serving the relationship.
Okay, he wasn't. I have to be fair with that. He wasn't mad because I wasn't feeling well. He wasn't mad because I wasn't eating. What he was mad about was that I wasn't getting better, and I wasn't doing things the way he wanted me to get better. And he was mad that I wasn't going to the doctor every single week. But at the same time, I was going to the doctor, and I was being told that I'm too young and too pretty and working too hard to be in the level of pain I'm in.
Yeah.
But, like, last paycheck, I worked a single day and an hour. I worked 7 hours. That's it. The last paycheck. It's not that it's not affecting me. It wasn't affecting me so greatly that the doctor wanted to handle it.
Yeah.
And this was in the time when I was actively going to the ER, and, like, he said, My ex took me to the ER in the middle of the night because I'd been vomiting for 24 hours straight.
Yeah.
At this point, I was vomiting vile.
Yeah.
And he was trying to give me water so that at least I was vomiting something up and not ripping my esophagus, which makes sense. I took a sip of water. Less than 5 seconds later, it was coming back out. In the parking lot. In the lobby. Outside while we were waiting. In the time we were outside, there was a teen couple. I guess the stepdad broke her arm. Boyfriend's rightfully pissed.
Right.
Stepdad shows up. Tells him he's kicked out because he lives with them. Tells him he's kicked out for speaking up. Boyfriend takes metal water bottle and attacks them.
Well,
while I'm actively vomiting, and I go into a full PTSD episode.
Yeah.
I then had to listen for 48 hours while he complained that I didn't stay and wait to get care. I got the notification of when they would have taken me in. I would have been sitting there waiting for 6 hours.
Yeah, no.
That was the stuff. That was the stuff that I was dealing with. And it wasn't like, I get it. I get the frustration. I do. You're taking it out on the wrong person.
Right.
And no matter how much I tried to like communicate in that relationship or fix things in that relationship, it just was like it was falling on deaf ears to the point where I just gave up. And that is something I worry about with us because at the end of the day, our communication started really well. Like that was 5 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it deteriorated slowly over 5 years.
Yeah. Well,
but that is something I worry about is when is the communication gonna stop being productive? Is it going to stop being productive? How will we know? And that is like very genuinely scary to me. And this just got a whole lot more real than I thought it was going to, so sorry for that.
Oh, don't worry about it. Those are legitimate fears because they're lived experiences that you have and they're examples of things that you personally have to compare things to. And those fears are your fears, and it's perfectly acceptable to have them. It's perfectly acceptable to have them in the back of your head. I have fears too. You know, I have, when is she going to snap at me and start telling me that nothing I do is good enough? When is she going to start chastising me for not being enough and make me feel lesser than I am? You know, it's because of the experiences that I've lived through with my ex and my experiences, I have those types of fears, and you have the fears that you have from your experiences. The difference is, I think, we recognize these things within ourselves. We're able to communicate about them.
I'm giving you sus space because I really don't know how to feel about this, but continue.
It's okay. Okay. You're allowed to feel however you feel.
It's not about feeling it. I don't know what I feel right now. Yeah. So I'm giving you suspicious face. Anyways, continue.
Bombastic side-eye squinty face.
Face.
Yeah, sus face. We have a way of communicating that I've never had with anybody before. And
I can agree to that.
And I know that as long as we continue to be humble and own our shit,
yeah,
you know, things are going to continue to go smoothly. Of course, there's going to be arguments. Of course, there's going to be points of contention here and there and things like that down the road. That's normal. It happens in relationships.
You got spicy food today?
Me?
You got spicy food today? And my tummy revolted.
I'm sorry.
That's your fault. But no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I can be an asshole too.
I know. It's just owning those things and recognizing them.
And I stole your socks.
And having those honest communications with each other. One thing I notice is you're avoidant with communication sometimes.
Very.
By changing the subject on the other things, like you just did the socks and spicy food. It's the conversation on things, you know, makes you uncomfortable, and that's okay.
It does. It absolutely does.
And I'm not gonna lie, the conversation makes me uncomfortable too. But those times, like the reality people watching this, those uncomfortable moments in communication is where you make or break the relationship, because you can either take that uncomfortableness and you can respond from that uncomfortableness, or you could stuff it down just long enough to go, it's okay to be uncomfortable. And what is she actually saying? What is my partner actually trying to communicate with me? What are you trying to say? And listening. Instead of, okay, she's saying something that makes me uncomfortable, I need to be on the fence. I'm going, she's saying something that makes me uncomfortable. What is about this that's making me uncomfortable? First off, I can put that to the side and think about it later when I'm alone, so that I can figure that out and have a better understanding of myself and my own emotions for it. And in the current time, I can sit here and listen to what she has to say and take it in for what it is and talk to her through communication on active ways for solutions.
To be fair though, like my deflection is more like knowing how your ex is and how she communicated to you, and knowing that that is your fear. Like, I have been accused of being a narcissist, but I was accused of being a narcissist by a psychopath who truly made me believe that I am a narcissist while actively being harmed. So, like, knowing that you fear that, it kind of wants me to put that distance there. Like, my brain immediately is like, distance. And it's not because you're doing anything. It's just like, I don't want to hurt you. Is my behavior ever going to switch that way? I don't know. I know, like, my ex-husband, I had a really bad PTSD episode where I was fully in flight. And instead of just leaving me alone, he kept coming closer and closer and closer to me. All I had was a metal, like, ladle for soup, because I was making soup when it started. And he wouldn't stop, and I ended up just on the top of his head until he backed up. But he would not, like, stop. I was literally like, I can get through this. I need you to back up. I don't know if I'm in the past or the present, and I need you to just leave me alone. And he wouldn't.
An outsider.
To be fair, I did not know I was pregnant when that happened. And it was the feeling of cutting raw chicken that had triggered it, right? And so I knew what the trigger was. I knew I could get through it, and I was trying to get through it, and he was trying to pull me out of it. And it's like, don't fucking pull me out. I know how to get my goddamn self out. Like, don't pull me out. And that, like, does bother me. But also, the discomfort in this was like, when is the narcissistic behavior gonna start? When is it gonna be, you're not worth it, you're not valuable? And that makes me uncomfortable, one, because I've been accused of it. But when I wasn't. But also, it makes me uncomfortable because those same things have been done to me. And I don't want anyone else to feel that way. And it's easier to deflect than be like, oh yeah, no, that'll never happen. Or have that really deep conversation. Because the truth is, I don't know if I have the spoons to go that deep right now and actually process it. So the deflection was more of a like, that makes me uncomfortable. I'm going to go this way so that we're not talking about this really uncomfortable thing that I've also lived through. You know? So that was the deflection. And yours is like, I'm going to just address this fucking shit.
My deflective nature is, okay, I'm going to go smoke a minute, and I'm going to come back, and then we're going to talk about this. Because
Ew. I'm going to go on a walk. I'm going to go on a 5-minute walk is what he said.
Yeah, I'm going to go on a 5-minute walk, and I'll be right back. And then we're going to talk about this. The reason why my deflective behavior is that way is because of the traumas that I have. And it's a coping skill that I've picked up. One out of...
Sorry, I'm shifting my body and it hurts.
She says she doesn't want me to touch her yet. She lays her leg over my leg. She does it because she needs the comfort position on that, and I don't mind.
No, I'm giving you the physical contact that you need in a way I can give you physical contact without being triggered into a full-blown, like, sensory episode. That's what I'm doing.
That makes sense.
That is literally what I'm doing. Also, that's not helpful. That's not helpful.
Makes sense.
I appreciate the comforting touch. However, your hands are exorbitantly warm.
I know. I can't help that I am on fire.
I am already, like, overheating. I feel like I have a fever. I know I don't have a fever, but flare-ups I feel hot in my body when I swell. So when you touch me with your exorbitantly warm hands, it makes me almost want to smack your hand away, and I'm trying really hard to not do that because that would just be rude.
So I have a genetic condition where my body does not dispel iron, and it causes my blood temperature. It causes my blood temperature to be higher, and it causes my liver enzymes to be higher, elevated. And cool thing about it, because I have so much iron in my system that's available to be used when I get injured, it heals within a matter of days rather than a matter of weeks. Bad thing about it, it has caused gallstones, it has caused digestion issues, it has caused blood pressure issues, and body temperature regulation issues. I have to have the house set at 62 degrees.
And it is hell for me because I have the opposite. Okay, my iron levels are usually pretty typical, but a lot of things are off and on the low end of things instead of the high end of things. Yeah. My dysregulation, I'm always cold. So it's very rare that I'm overheating unless I'm exhausted and swelling. And so I'm on the opposite end. Now I'm hot. This sucks. Yeah. But also I want to be under the blankets because that's the only amount of sensory I can handle. Plus it keeps people from touching me.
Yeah.
So it's like a physical bubble barrier. Okay, like I'm under the blankies while also.
The physical touch thing for me is like, best way to describe this trauma I had as a kid. Abandonment, major abandonment issues
and
from
neglect,
being a child.
Emotional and mental.
Neglect.
I mean, yeah, there was physical too. We've talked about that on here already, but the emotional mental neglect will make you more clingy.
Yeah, it was a lot of emotional and mental neglect. So one of my love languages is physical touch. Mostly it's gifts of service and things like that, but my secondary two gifts of service or acts of service is physical touch. And
I'm rolling my eyes at you.
That's fine.
I'm rolling my eyes at you for a reason. A lot of people don't understand with love languages, there is a correlation between how we experience love and how we give love, right? And the thing with love languages that is interesting when we're talking about conversations like this, I could give a fuck less about words of affirmation. So people are going to see this and be like, they're assholes to each other. Yes, we are. Neither of us is a words of affirmations person. Anything I say to him, I know it's not going to hurt his fucking feelings. Anything he says to me, I will pretend it hurts my fucking feelings. But it doesn't. Because neither of us, that's not a weapon that can be used against either of us, because quite honestly, neither of us are words of affirmation.
Right.
But if I were to actually seriously get mad at you and harm you out of anger, it would crush you.
Yeah.
Conversely same.
Right.
If I were to look at you while you were breaking down and be mad that you were breaking down and just walk out without saying anything, my stuff would be outside when I came back. I already know that.
That wouldn't even be when you got back. I would be going, oh, really? Out the door now.
But
bye-bye.
But the thing is, right? The reason for that is, as much as love languages are good to know in a relationship to be able to properly love each other, it's conversely giving the person you love the tools to shatter you and trusting them not to.
Yep.
And that's a big thing a lot of people don't talk about. Exactly. Is while, it gives you the tools to love properly, it also gives you the tools to absolutely break the other person.
See,
as a non-emotional motherfucker,
this is where a narcissist, why I know you're not a narcissist, okay, is a narcissist wouldn't even acknowledge that, and they would just hold on to it in the back of their mind to use as a weapon later.
Conversely, people could argue that because it's recorded, I'm doing it for show. I'm not saying that I am. I'm saying because it's recorded. But they don't know why we started this. They don't know what our agreement was. And I'm sure there's going to be people who think that this is scripted, but it's not. We chose to show hard conversations. Like, we had a conversation and said, there's a lot of scripted conversations out there that show an unrealistic expectation of communication in relationships.
Yeah. One thing you guys might notice if you're familiar with body language, these conversations are not easy. And when things aren't easy for me, one of my things that I do is I protect myself in a physical way. I'm doing it right now. I've been doing it since the video started. It protects my energy. It protects my conscious forward thought of what's happening around me at any given time. If I feel
To be
uncomfortable,
fair,
I can
we
walk
started
away.
this video twice. One was interrupted by children. That was an agreement we had. No kids on here. We're not going to have kids on the screen. We're not going to have kid voices as much as we can limit it. We're both parents. There's 4 kids. Is it going to happen at some point? Probably. But we are making a great effort to not have that happen. So we had to restart because of that. And then we started talking. He assumed I was feeling something I wasn't feeling. I explained that I wasn't feeling that thing. And the way I explained it, he thought I didn't want to make this. Hence why I started this with, and this is me giving up on podcasting, because he turned it off and restarted, the motherfucker. So I couldn't even just press play and be like, no, that's not what I wanted.
Yep.
He deleted the shit. Which is annoying, because we could show you why we both came in a little bit defensive as well, was because of that.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, yo, you're not listening. Like, that's not what I was saying. And he's like, well, I was trying to help. And like, so we're starting this when we're getting to that emotional heightened argument state. One, holds both of us accountable.
Mm-hmm.
There's no twisting words. It's fucking recorded. But 2, we're having this conversation and other people can learn from it.
Exactly.
And we can learn from it. We can look back and be like, ooh, I really did that. And that was fucking shitty. I can do that.
It happens.
I can do that.
So,
because I tend to be the person that with the idea I have memory gaps. So I can go look at this and be like, ooh, that was actually kind of fucking shitty. I need to go back to fucking therapy.
not that I'm trying to get words of affirmation or anything like that. I am trying to get a logical standpoint and answer from you regarding key characteristics that are different and my communication style with you that is different from any relationship you've been in. Positive things.
Tone. I tend to overthink when we're talking. Not just me and you, but just in general, I overthink. What is the intention behind the words? Is there something behind the lines? Because nothing ever is as it is, right? And I understand that. And like, I would be lying if I said I didn't expect that from you too. But your tone portrays actually what you're feeling, and you don't mask your tone. That is something a lot of people have tried to mask it so that I don't react. You don't give a fuck if I react. You're going to say what you say, because that's important. That part. That is probably the key difference that I appreciate. As much as it hurts and sucks sometimes, I do appreciate it, because it's one of the things where it's like, okay, I know he means what he says. There is no reading between the lines, because your tone matches what you're saying, because you're not masking your tone to be what I want to hear, to sugarcoat it so that I digest it easier. You're just like, here's the shit pile. This is a shit pile. Or here's a rose. It's a rose. Like, there is nothing else. I think that's a really big one. Also,
I have no
you and I
filter.
Yeah, but you and I, well, you do. You just aren't sugarcoating shit on purpose. Like, when we actually disagree on something, and I'm like, hey, this makes me feel this. You don't immediately go into defense. You're like, okay, and this makes me feel like shit. Like, okay, so what are we going to do to fix it together? Right? And then we can go into problem solving together. But it's not, well, you're accusing me. You're accusing me, so therefore now I'm going to do this thing more because you accuse me of it and I'm that. That's been a lot of what I've experienced. It's not... I think the other thing too is that when we decided to be together, we decided that this was going to be forever or nothing. Both of us were at that point of this is forever or nothing. I might pass away. You might pass away. Like, we both have health issues. This is going to be forever or nothing. And walking into something and saying this is forever or nothing because I love this person and I don't want to spend the rest of my life, however long that is, with someone I don't love, makes you, 1, more vulnerable, which is scary, but 2, more willing to look at the jagged edges as what they are. I'm not trying to sand you down, smooth you out, form you into some beautiful fucking sculpture. Sorry, that's not my fucking job.
Even if you tried to, it wouldn't work.
Well, it's not my fucking job, period. But you're also not doing the same thing.
Right.
Like, you are conversely not trying to change me.
The biggest thing that...
Train time.
Train time. There goes the train, everybody. Happens about every 3 hours around here. Literally, consistently, about every 3 hours, a giant, 1.5 mile long train goes by.
It's okay.
Makes
Just
a lot
call
of
your
noise.
friends. Anyways. But no, so definitely that was a big one, is both of us walked into it with like, yeah, we're not going to go find somebody else. We're not going to go back to the past. We're not going to fix something that's broken.
No.
We both walked into it as, hi, I'm an entire individual. You try to change me, I walk. And we both walked into that way. But we didn't walk into it toxically as, I am this and you need to form.
Right.
To me, it was, hi, this is who I am, take it or leave it.
Mm.
Hi, this is who I am, take it or leave it.
Mm.
And we both said, cool. Good to know. Like I said, I'm not going to be over here with the sander like, haha, I made a statue. No, fuck that. He's not over here like, haha, I made a statue. No, because neither of us wants a trophy.
No.
Both of us want somebody that worst day, best day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm standing next to you like, ha, look what we did.
Yep.
Worst day, best day, doesn't matter. The most pain I've ever been in, the most times I've hit the ground, the most times I've had medical issues. It's not panic.
Yeah.
It's just, I knew this walking in.
Right.
And similarly with you, you don't feel good. I'm not panicking. I'm asking like, hey, I actually don't know a lot about this disorder. How can I help you? What do you need? Because I also know you like to be like, this is what I need and have it actually followed.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, what do you need? And you've learned, you can ask, hey, I'm in a lot of pain. Can you do this? And I will.
Yep.
It might be inconvenient, but I will do the thing because I know that it's going to make you feel better.
Vice
and
versa.
you do the same thing for me. Hey, I'm in a lot of pain. And you're like, well, this is my responsibility. Can I help?
Mm-hmm.
That's why, because it's your responsibility when I'm in pain, when you're in pain, it becomes my responsibility. And that's not to change each other. It's just that we both have that kind of healer heart.
We support each other in the way that we need supported.
Well, and we both have a basis in healing people. It's just on different scales of it.
My big thing too on communication and being so straightforward and blunt about it and not sugarcoating how you feel or trying to choose your words wisely.
I am so uncomfy right now. I'm just acknowledging that. Like, I have a pit in my stomach, uncomfy.
I know. I can see it.
Okay, but I'm letting you know. So
I appreciate you.
Please finish your thought. But I am letting you know that I'm at that because sometimes it makes it hard for me to hear.
Gotcha.
Almost like underwater sounding. Okay. I'm listening. I am paying attention, but I need you to know that if I'm saying what more or something like that, it's not because I'm not paying attention. It's just because when I get anxiety like that, it's almost like tunnel sound.
Okay. Thank you for telling me that, so I'm aware of it. Proper communication, coming into it with an understanding and communicating your needs. What she just did was literally communicated something to me that most people would probably not even think about communicating to their partner, which would cause what? Misunderstandings, miscommunication, and animosity towards each other. So she's communicating her need to me, and I'm receiving it literally. When we communicate, and the reason why I feel it's important to be straightforward about it and genuine about it, I don't need to yell. I don't need to raise my voice. I don't even need to be like, this makes me uncomfortable and be hyphy about it. This makes me a little uncomfortable, and here's why. Being honest about those conversations is, I'm 40 years old. I've been married. I was married for 8.5 years, divorced, engaged for 5.5 years, separated. That didn't work out. Had kids with both of them.
You're a mess.
Horrible communication. My life's fucked. I'm a mess. Your life's fucked. You're a mess.
I'm just making fun of you because, like, when I respond, you're going to be like, yeah, you're a mess too. Yeah. Like, it's okay.
I don't have time in my life to be wasting on somebody who doesn't want me for who I am, exactly as I am.
Same. I mean, I was told when I was 25 that I'd be lucky to make it to 30, and I'm 28.
Yeah.
I've never gotten along with people my age.
So one thing I want to fix, and that is the fucking medical system, so you can get your health shit taken care of. That's it.
Yeah, but that's not fixing me. That's fixing a system. But
it's fixing the issue.
But I would say, when you, well, okay, for me, my friends were never my age. My best friend when I was 10 was 16. Is that weird? Yeah, it's fucking weird. He was a fucking dude too. Like, it's fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
But to this day, he's one of my best friends.
Right.
To this day, every time I drive through Auburn, I call him like, "Hey, buddy, you home? Can I drop by? You want to play some video games? You still got the kittens? Yeah. You want me to make you some food? I will throw some food in." Like, that's always been our relationship. We've always been like siblings like that. Yeah. And it's not always been perfect, but yeah, and we've had our falling outs and things like that, but him and I are still really good friends. I was friends with my sister's friends. My sister's 10 years older than me. So I've never gotten along with my people, but I was like my son. I understood things faster and easier when it came to academics. Socially, not quite as much.
So much.
And so I got along with the older kids because I was able to relate at that academic level, and there was a degree of separation. So it would probably come as no surprise as an 18-year-old I was dating a 50-year-old. Like, that's not a surprise. I also found out he was married and ruined his entire marriage. Yeah. But that's neither here nor there, right? Like, I did what I did, I said what I said, and I stand on that. That 50-year-old thanks me to this day for ruining his relationship with his ex. He goes, "I fucked up. I stepped out on her. I stepped out on her daily. I treated you badly. I treated her badly. And if you had never called me on my bullshit as an 18-year-old girl, looked me in my motherfucking eyes and said, I told your wife what you're doing." Because I didn't just tell her. I looked him in his eyes in person, knowing who the fuck he is. He has a similar backstory to you, different skin tone. I looked him in his eyes in my apartment and said, "I just ruined your marriage." And he goes, "What the fuck did you just say?" I said, "I found your wife based on the pictures in your home. That's why I've been distant. She knows everything." And he said, "You know, I always had respect for you, and this is why. I knew as soon as you seen that you would do that." Now, we didn't talk for like 5 years. He found his new lady. He married. He loyal as fuck to this girl.
Good.
Right? But he wasn't with the right person, and he stepped out of that. And he knew it wasn't me that fucked up. It was him that fucked up. Could I have been unalived that day? Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, I could have. But I didn't. I got the respect of the 916 Crips. Because I did what I did. Mm-hmm. And I said what I said. I've made a lot of friends in a lot of places just by being me. Mm-hmm. I've made a lot of enemies in a lot of places just by being me. But I will tell you, I fear my friends more than I fear my enemies, for the simple cause of, I've seen what the fuck my friends can do. You sitting up here trying to be a CEO. What you gonna do? Fire me? Like, that's the worst you can do.
Right.
Good job. You did nothing. Right? And so for me, being me and living the way I've lived, when I was told you have 5 years to live, you'll be lucky if you make it to 30, and I can't tell you what's wrong with you because of a contract that we have with a company that provides a very specific medication, right? That you happen to have had. That, I looked at him and laughed. And he goes, "That's not the reaction I thought I would get out of you." Yeah. And I said, "Well, bio mom tried to take me out. Adoptive mom tried to take me out. Multiple exes tried to take me out. And now you're telling me that the medical system is also trying to take me out." And he looks at me and I said, Yeah.
Let's pause this for a minute. I need a smoke.
So we definitely took a little break. But yeah, so basically I found out that it wasn't just things throughout my life where I could have passed away. Now I had an expiration date, essentially. And the thing about that's funny, I've given myself expiration dates.
Look, I made a penguin box.
Very cool, Bubba.
Another quick break later. I gave myself an expiration date at 8 years old. I said, today's my last day. At 10 years old, I said, today's my last day. And I took action upon these. 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 21, 23. I took action on this, actual action on these expiration dates I had given myself, and none of it worked. So what makes me think or believe that the medical system is going to give me an expiration date and it's going to be true? Because the truth of that is that maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I've given myself enough of them and surpassed them despite actively attempting to hit that expiration date and be gone. What makes me think a doctor is going to be able to tell me? Nothing. So I left. His only response is, "Are you safe now?" Yep. And he went on about his life without any further questions. So I don't know if I'm gonna pass away in the time frame that was given. I don't know. But I do know that I'm really sick and I haven't felt this shit in my body ever. Emotionally, I've been in way worse places, but in my body, never like this.
Yeah. I'm just doing the best I can to make things as easy as possible for you and myself, and I know you're doing the same. I don't care if I only get a year with you, 2 years, 3, 5 years, the rest of my life with you. That time that I get with you is enough.
I know. Same. But I think definitely hard conversations and putting it in a way where, like, hey, this is really helpful for someone with DID.
Oh, yeah.
But also, like, having these conversations the way we do, it just also keeps us accountable to how we communicate them.
Yeah.
And it's not a false, like, oh, we're having this conversation, we're getting off, we're having more conversations.
Yeah.
It's, we're having this conversation because this is the conversation, and that's it.
Yep.
Because we're actually finding solutions in this. We're actually finding answers in this.
I appreciate doing these because it allows us to speak honestly. It allows other people to see honest communication, and it allows people to see, that there's other ways of talking about stuff that you don't have to hold back, and you also don't, like us men, we have a problem with, a lot of us do anyways, holding in what we really want to say and then later on blowing up and saying some really fucked up shit that we didn't actually mean just because we're in pain over a certain subject or conversation we had before. It's better to just, in the moment while you're upset about something, talk about it. Just be open and honest about it. And you don't even have to show anger. Like, for instance, the other night she was doing a live and it was kind of a joke live, and there were some subjects in it from other people that they were talking about and things, and certain things in it that, not that I don't agree with them, but some of the subjects like made me uncomfortable. And instead of being mad that she was having a conversation that made me feel a little uncomfortable about some of the subjects, with the views towards certain types of men, I was able to think introspectively on it.
And then you pushed me to be more controversial.
And then I pushed her to be more controversial.
Like he internalized that shit. He was like, this makes me uncomfortable. And then he proceeded to go, actually, you could do worse. Do worse.
Yeah.
Hurt their feelings.
Well,
because if the shoe doesn't fit, don't fucking wear it.
Yeah. Don't wear it if it doesn't fit. And that's kind of where it brought me to, is like, okay, just because some of these subjects make me uncomfortable. Why is it making me uncomfortable? What about it is actually making me uncomfortable? And I realized none of these things are pertaining to me. It's not a shoe that fits me, so why am I going to try to wear the fucking shoe? So hey, go for it. Make it even more awkward. Make it more uncomfortable for these guys, and change the subject just a little bit, just to make it that much more.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
That subject change worked too.
Yeah.
But I would definitely say that, like, I appreciate having the conversations in a way we can look back. But I also appreciate having the conversations in a way that gets actionable results.
A way that we can use it to move forward rather than staying stagnant.
Yeah. Okay, I feel like we need to end this to deal with kiddos.
I think so too.
Okay.
Anyways, thank you guys for stopping by. Hope you enjoy the conversation.
Bye.